Alright, now we're going to go to the expenses section based on animals and children. We're going to group both of those together because you either have one, you have none, or you have both. So, many people have animals, so this leads us to many different costs that vary depending on who and what type of animals you have. And maybe you may or may not know when a cute little fella was giving you the puppy eyes at the pound that you decided to get it. But each animal is different, and I'm going to base this off of a dog to give you a better understanding for your animal. Based on Pet Finder, a dog is expensive, ranging $300 to $2,000 on average, with end caps being unlimited. Maybe you wanted one of the purebred Frenchies and you pay $25,000 for it, or you want the best horse in the entire world, paying multiple millions of dollars. As you pick up a dog, you're fostered with adoption fees, bathroom care, food, treats, toys, collars, vaccinations, neutering, leashes, health tests, tick and flea prevention, and many more expenses that I will save my breath for. This is the basic fundamentals of a dog. What is a yearly commonality in purchases? Now, for the unknown or extra costs that occur from this, is the emergency care budget for say. On our sheets, we refer to it as a safety nest. So, you have adoption fees, like I stated, ranging $300 to $2,000 on average. You need the bathroom care. You need, say you live in an apartment and you have a pee pad in there, or you need multiple pee pads for your puppy in the beginning. Vaccinations costing $60, but then they have the hidden costs of vet fees coming into play because they're going to take $100 for an appointment and give you a $60 shot. You need to neuter your dog because you don't want any other dogs to get your animal pregnant. And miscellaneous health appointments because you need to go in for blood work, heartworm testing, whatever it is. Do you have insurance for your animal? It's very cheap actually for animal insurance. There's also safety nests, or maybe you have a service animal training, or you want your dog to be a high performance dog or a safety dog, things like that require external training and get very costly when things happen. And what about thinking about traveling? Have you ever thought about, hey, I want to go to a different state where I have to fly to, and I don't have a friend that can watch it, or my friend is allergic to cats or dogs, or whatever the situation is? You got to understand the travel costs that can come about. And so, going back to the insurance and safety nest, for example, you could be walking your dog, and in Arizona, a rattlesnake appears and attacks your dog. If you have insurance, you're in luck. That $7 a month payment finally paid off. Or, if not, $4,700 later, at least your baby's still alive. And this comes from personal experience. Animal, the commonality purchases that we talked about. Life, your dog's gotta eat. So food costs are monthly. Maybe you go and groom your dog because you do show, you have an animal show, or you have that natty husky, or you just want your dog to be pampered, new nails or cut nails, and a layer taken off of their fur, whatever the situation is. Maybe training is another factor that is a one-time expense. Or maybe, like I stated, when you travel, are you boarding? Do you have a daily budget for your dog? Because your trip that you wanted to take that was $1,000 may now be $1,200 because you're paying for a pet hotel. You need accessories and toys. What about that bark box, the monthly mail service for your pet? Or you go to the local pet store and you let your dog pick out, or you go and buy foo-foo cookies for your dog because you're going to spend $5 on a treat for your dog when you can buy a dozen cookies for yourself for the same exact price. And bedding, maybe you have a simple bed or your dog rips it up, or maybe we're going to swap it out for a guinea pig or reptiles or whatever the situation is. Everything needs bedding, or you just let your dog sleep in your bed. Whatever the situation is, all of these will come in to play. So when you're working on the Excel file, just fit in and associate your costs within your personal Excel sheets. So next we're going to go to the children section, or actually we will look at animals and preventative care. Safety nets. Do you have that safety net in case if your dog chews too hard on a bone and cracks a tooth? What happens about shots and doctor appointments? You want your animal to live for a very long time, so let's have that situation happen, and let's do preventative care, yearly doctor appointments, monthly, or twice a year, whatever your situation is. Get that insurance. It's going to save you in the long run. Sure, it's a couple dollars out of the way a month, but really it's just a few dollars depending on what animal you have. And as we all know, there's going to be many miscellaneous costs. So now we move on to the children. Children are a huge factor that either you have or you don't have. And these suckers are costly, and that's a fact. The Excel sheet will explain itself fairly well, but we'll go over it. So, most people have medical costs. This is usually a ton up front, then a modest amount throughout the teen years, and it picks up yet again as they get older. And then there's insurance on top of it. It's extremely valuable at this time to take that insurance via your work or your personal insurance that you're getting for your kids. Next, we're going to be moving on to clothing. For a kid growing up, every year, a new set of clothes must be bought. You're going to have a ton of different dynamics of maybe your kid dresses all black this year, or for 4 months they need the newest of the new shoes that are out there. Whatever the situation is, you really need to understand the clothing is fashionable, and what's going to set that child apart, or what's going to fit that child in the niche that they may be in growing up, that they'll always remember and be very thankful for. You're going to have lunches. Maybe you have your child going out and about and having a fun time with everybody, and you don't want to pack him a lunch. Maybe you let him go to the cafeteria and get lunches, or you pack them yourself. These are extra food costs that can come up and about. Then you'll have toys and accessories. You got to think about what your child wants to play with, how they want to play with everything. What are they doing with their, things, like they need that Spider-Man toy, or they need the Barbies growing up. Whatever that situation is, you should really think about that. And also, you need to be thinking about birthday parties. Everybody remembers their children's birthday parties and their childhood birthday parties, whether it was at Chuck E. Cheese or at a movie theater, or whatever the situation is. You should really understand that and move forward with trying to budget in. And then there's holidays. You have Hanukkah or you have Christmas that come in with $400, $300, hopefully way less than that. But as we all know, everybody likes the newest of the new things that are out there. So we go into children and tuition. Tuition for a school. Or maybe you have a separate cost that has to do with tuition, like a kids program or something else along the lines of education. Could be coding school, chess school, instrument lessons, soccer, daycare, karate classes, whatever the situation is. These are all extra costs for education for your kids. Maybe they need the new cleats or new computers or that instrument. All those are very costly just as well. And next, for tuition, education, schooling, they're going to need the supplies, new books, uniforms if that's what they need, cleats like I stated, computers, instruments, colors, paper, utensils, every semester, new things. And always save your time. And what we recommend is stocking up during that 1-cent sale at your local Walmart or office supply store. Stock up on these supplies every single year. Expense it all out and up until college. Pick a color pattern and stick to that for years. With school supplies, will become 80% of the cost of what they were when you can get them for the welcome week back into school, the 1 cent, when green now is associated with science and red is English and purple is math. And you can continue that instead of buying every semester. Stock up on the 1 cent sales, the welcome back to call or welcome back to school weeks, whatever it is. Let's load up on those, because that's what's really going to stretch us out. Maybe have daycare, they have camp, they babysitting, after school activities, soccer, things like that. And just remember, every kid loves toys, like I went with. If it's not in a cereal box or a Happy Meal, it's going to be an extra cost. And make sure your child is situated but not spoiled. But of course, each to their own. They're your kids, not ours. Raise your child how you feel best situated. And we would love to make it known that violence and abuse is never an option. Alright, now we're moving forward with the budget time Excel file expense sheet, going over animal and children. So to start, we're going to look at food. Say your dog goes through a 50-pound bag every 2 months, and it's $1 a pound. So we're going to log in a whopping $25 for food per month. You want grooming. You can either do this yourself or you can go to an external source, in which case, as we know, we love budgeting ourselves. So we're going to call it $15. The bottle of shampoo is $10 a month, and you want a new brush or something like that for $5. Toys and accessories, you want that bark box, which should go in the subscription section, but you go out to PetSmart or your local pet store and you get your dog that cookie like we talked about, or you get a random bone for your animal, and that will be coming in with, let's call it $25 to $35 a month. Bedding, you have a litter box for your cat. You get your dog a new bed every few days, or excuse me, every few months. Whatever the situation is there, you have reptiles that need certain beddings, or guinea pigs, whatever it is. Let's call it $20 a month. That safety nest, you want to put aside $5 a month for your dog. That's going to be $60 at the end of the year for miscellaneous things that could happen or arise within your dog. Next, we're looking at shots and doctor appointments. You know, it's always great to do it twice a year, to take your dog to a doctor's appointment, get checked out, looked at, whatever the situation is, or just putting money aside for this. So when the rabies shots come, or whatever is to come, you already know. So let's just call it $20 a month there, knowing that you're going twice a year. Next, you're going to have your insurance costs, typically on average about $7 a month for that. And your miscellaneous costs for your dog. Maybe you do something a little bit more for your dog. You go surfing with your dog and you need to buy a surfboard for him, or maybe you're going to go and get that life vest for your dog, or you get him little booties because it's cold when you walk in the snow, depending on your region. Whatever that is, let's throw it in the miscellaneous section. But for me, I'm going to budget in a pet adoption fee of $350 there, and other expenses like I talked about. Maybe there's other things that happen to come about within your own personal life with your animals. As I'm going off of a dog, maybe different animals have different expenses as well. So children, your medical costs, your medical insurance, coming in a whopping $120 a month for your child. Or, you know, we're going to get new clothes, and every single month we're going to let him go shopping for 10 items at $10 a piece, bringing in $100, and we're going to stretch that out. Some months he might not go shopping at all, and he might not want anything, or she might not want anything. But just keeping that budget and having a larger budget and an actual reality is great, and will help you along your budgeting times, because that's all going to be saved money if you over budget now within your sheets, and under budget in reality. You let your kid go to soccer practice, and that's $25 a month stretched out every single month because you go to public school and he wants to really join in a soccer league and things like that, or coding league, or whatever the situation is. Put in that for tuition. So with that being said, I'm actually going to raise that to about $60 because of coding classes, and he has soccer club, and usually they're involved in more than just one thing, or they're learning a new instrument, and that's going to be $60 a lesson, whatever the situation is. Maybe you don't want to pack lunches for your kid and think the cafeteria is better, or maybe you want to pack lunches for your kid but throw in Capri Suns or Lunchables, extra costs that should actually go in the food section, but for this sake we're going to call your monthly allotment of $40, 220s every 2 weeks. School supplies. Now, like I stated, hopefully this comes every few months that you need to buy new supplies, but in reality we should be budgeting that in. We should be conscious of what we're paying. Get in on those 1 cent sales. Get in on those weekly, or excuse me, first time school purchases, back to school sales. And so let's call school supplies, looking at that, at about $20 a month if you're able to budget that through. And what I want you to do is stretch that $20 out all the way, and at the end of the year, that's going to be a whopping $240 at the end of the year. But in reality, you purchased all of that for $80 because you had the 1 cent sales on binders, on notebooks, on whatever. Next, we all remember the toys and games that we were given as children, and I'm going to put a larger budget of $45 there, because that's really, you want to gift your child certain things, and think about it now so that you can thank yourself later, because for say August the new Marvel movie came out and now he needs that toy, and the toy's $30, but the month previous he didn't need any new toys or games, and just having, like we talked about, over budgeting now, and in reality it'll be under budgeted. For now, we're going to enter nothing in for our other categories because, nothing else is needed. So we're going to move to the expense section now. We can see that the child and animal expenses have been populated now, and that our pies are now changing within our graphs because we're realizing that we're having and adding more expenses to the total. So that is it for the animal